Thanks a lot. We're going to talk about Second Life combined with Moodle and Second Life combined with Merlot. So it was, all right. My name is Jeremy Kemp from San Jose State University. So Jeremy Frumpkin I wanted to thank very much because originally we were completely dropped out of the paper list and he put us back on and we got a presentation. So this is, I know that he's not, I don't think he's here, but this is a gift to him. I've never met him, but I think that's probably his role, isn't it? Okay. So I have a whole lot of video to show, and let me start by telling you three things. First, the evolution of interfaces towards a 3D interface. The second one being how San Jose State and the education community is using Second Life. And the third one, how we're mashing it up with a learning management system. Okay, so those are my 3 points for today. I've got 9 minutes. Okay, so I don't know how many of you remember this one.
Password enter. Welcome to BRT Online.
Watch the interface here. This is a metaphorical interface on his left hand. Okay, the second one I have is more modern. This is, and you probably know the movie.
The Nebuchadnezzar on approach, requesting access through gate 3.
Look at the interface here. Don't even have to touch the computer.
Nebuchadnezzar, this is Zion Control. Maintain present velocity and stand by.
Roger that, Control.
This is Zion Control, requesting immediate stand down of arms at gate 3. We have the Nebuchadnezzar on approach. Let's open her up.
Okay. Oh. Take a look at this one. Also more modern. More modern, sorry. Okay.
I've got no address, last known or otherwise.
Still using
no
the
tax
gloves.
returns for the last 5
What's with
years.
the gloves?
Check NCIC, maybe he's got a record. And send a protection team as soon as we lock location. It looks like federal housing.
Okay, that's science fiction. Let's take a look at what happened, I think it was last year, the last few years at the TED conference, TED.com if you've seen that. This is an interface using physics.
And I'd like to kind of bring that experience to the desktop. So I kind of have a, this is Bump Top. And it's kind of like a new approach to desktop computing. So you can bump things. They're all kind of physically, manipulable and stuff.
So that's not science fiction. Another one here, also at TED, was a multi-touch control. I have a multi-touch right up here on my Macintosh.
It's not just simply relegated to the kind of 2D panning in motion. Now, this gesture that we developed, again, is just kind of putting 2 fingers down, kind of defining an axis of tilt, and I kind of tilt up and down that way. That's just something we just came up with on the spot. You know, it's probably not the right thing to do, but it's such.
Okay, so that's the evolution of interfaces. Let me show you an interface that I use right now as I teach in the Second Life virtual environment. So this is a class. This is actually a contest that I had a couple of days back to have the students practice building. So this is experiential learning. I'm having them work with these 3-dimensional objects and copy a model that I've created. So they're working in teams. This is experiential, group-based learning. You can see some of the reference. I scanned my book and placed it around them. Voice over IP. And also the American Library Association recently used our students to build out their library in Second Life. And let me show you how that turned out. So this is my graduate student. San Jose State has over 2,000 students in library and information science, and we graduate something like on the order of 400 to 500 students a year in MLIS. So this is an island in Second Life, 16 acres, 256 meters on a side. And these are all the different divisions. ALA is an incredibly political thing. So working all the different divisions into this one resource, it's still an ongoing trial. So all this modeling was done by my graduate students, and they're not trained in 3-dimensional modeling. They don't know Maya. They use the simple tools in Second Life. Okay, this is the way that classes are done synchronously.
Hello class, how's everybody today? Before we start today's class, I would like to introduce a visitor from KQED, and his name is Shiraz. Welcome, Shiraz.
These are avatars.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me here. I'm doing a story for Quest on Second Life, so I'm really excited to be here.
In today's class, we're going to do an exercise. You will break into pairs with one student playing the role of the user, another playing the role of the reference librarian.
Let me show you the world's first representation of a reference interview in 3D. This is a reference interview. Fictional, science fiction.
Okay, so what do you need besides a miracle? Guns. Lots of guns.
Found his way into the stacks. So this is a project that I'm working on called the Second Life. Well, it's combined with Moodle. It's Second Life and Moodle. Moodle's a learning management system, and it works open source over a MySQL database. And let me show you the format of this piece. This is another movie.
First of all, we'll need to configure the class set to
so that
point
3D
to our
object
Moodle.
metaphors
we'll do that
represent.
by right-clicking on the main control panel of your SLIS set and choosing Edit. Next, choose the Content tab.
See the time.
Then right-click on SLIS config note card. Recalling our configuration note card from the previous tutorial, you'll copy and paste.
So Second Life has porn. It used to have gambling. It used to have banking. All these sorts of things, but it's hackable. It's the first of these consumer-based 3D virtual environments that are actually hackable. Communicates in XML, RPC XML, and also in HTTP. And let me show you. Here we go. This is me. This is my avatar. This is Second Life. It's a 3D modeling environment. These are all objects not created by the company in any way. These were objects created by, actually we have a grant from the EduServe Foundation, and our coder, our programmer, created this schematic of the system. Starts with a registration, has a registration linker, has a Moodle enrollment module, and these represent all the different data pass-throughs, URLs, pass-through, XML, HTTP, and also LSL. So let me show you real quick the modeling environment, and I've got a minute. So this is so simple of a modeling environment. I'm just using my function keys. Okay. So the LSL script that does a very simple thing in Second Life looks like this. It's state-based. You put an object down, it sits in a state. When it enters, it puts some text over itself and it listens for somebody to say something. Then it listens. If it's the owner of the object, then it spits out a request to HTTP with the URL that we've given it. Variables are up top. And then it responds back with a response and says it. So that's Linden scripting language. It's pretty simple, C-based. Looks pretty close to C. So that's basically the presentation I have. Second Life is used to teach. Interfaces are progressing into 3 dimensions, and this is a tool you can use to practice mashing up open source data and 3D interface metaphors. So, thank you. Sure.
So hi, I'm Jonathon Richter. I'm a research associate at the Center for Advanced Technology and Education at the University of Oregon. Glad here to be meeting with all of you because we desperately need your help, and I love librarians, especially in the information age. I'm working with Merlot. Do you guys know Merlot? A lot of you probably. The multi-educational resource for learning and online teaching. And we're starting to bring things into 3D space. So here is sort of a quick overview of our project called the Salamander Project, which takes things out of Second Life and gets them into a database where we can start tagging and identifying.
Hi, this is Wayne Brave Bernal from the Center for Advanced Technology in Education, the University of Oregon, showing you the Salamander Project, going from Second Life to the Salamander Wiki, onto merlot.org. Here's my pal Uladzimir Kuferberg, and we're going to show you the Salamander HUD using the archetypal caverns. And in your inventory, you'll open it up, find the Salamander HUD, right-click, attach the HUD. We're going to go to the top left, and our beautiful HUD, Eloise Pasteur made for us using the slug.org HUD. Then as you're walking through any learning material in Second Life or any build in Second Life, you click the push pin and select which type of learning material you have. We're going to choose that this is a collection and your learner population. And then the Salamander HUD will ask you a series of questions such as who built it, where it's located, etc., and other comments that you might have that you will actually type in. And when it's done, it will send the data to the slug.org website. On the website, then, you can find, under your name, you will find all of the different educational builds that you have tagged. So you have your own personal page. And the Salamander site within slug.org will list all the educational sites that have been tagged. And from those, we will scrape the slug.org database, finding the ones most appropriate, and we will then add those to the Salamander Wiki, a community site for anyone that's an educator in Second Life to enter in. We look at these by learner engagement as well as content area. And all of the stubs that have been tagged by the Salamander HUD that are deemed somewhat appropriate will end up here. You can register for the Salamander Wiki community to be a full member, which then allows you certain other benefits. Once you've logged in, you can then edit these stubs to further develop them, add pictures, add descriptions, place them into content areas that are appropriate, so that the whole education community can have this searchable database. You can edit this to say it's to further describe and delineate these various places, these various tools. And in the discussion area, you can get into, well, a dialogue with your fellow educators about the pros and cons of these. And you can also vote on each of these stubs one time, the best of which will end up in the Merlot database. So please join us at the Salamander project. Log on, get your HUD, log on to the wiki, and join us. Thank you.
Ouch. That was really just a beta, and it never got out of that. So that was just our initial video, kind of an overview of it. Jeremy, can you help me find my PowerPoint here somewhere? Okay, and what all this leads to is the Center for Learning in Virtual Environments, Second Life being the largest group of teachers and learners in a virtual environment that we know of right now. But you know, there's a lot of virtual environments on the horizon. Google apparently is testing their virtual environment at Arizona State University. There's some breadcrumbs of that on the web. But what we're starting is this center that allows us then to start figuring out how we can, you know, tag and make accessible all of these learning objects that are existing in these virtual spaces. So what we're doing is we're promoting the stewardship of educational communities of practice in all of these 3D virtual worlds in order to get them to pull that stuff out of those virtual worlds, to develop and identify those within each milieu. World of Warcraft is not Second Life, is not Croquet, is not Wonderland. So they vary according to their affordances, what you can do and what you can't do, etc. And we're working with some groups to create reliable metadata so that people can access and find those things and compare within and across these virtual environments. So that's what Clive is working to do. And then putting all of these into one place that allows educators then to make informed decisions about, and learners as well, about what it is they want to teach, what it is they want to teach, what learning objectives they have, what their learner population is, and what exactly they want to get out of using these virtual materials. So we've partnered with a number of people. Merlot, what they're doing is providing us with this web-based community. So once we pull things out of different virtual worlds and tag them, they're creating a web space for this and helping us then to catalog that. They've got long years of experience in helping vet materials. We're actually coordinating the development and doing the research. Sun Microsystems is donated hardware and an open source virtual world called, well, the server software is called Darkstar, and there's an open source virtual world that's just coming out of beta in the spring called Wonderland, and it's all a buzz. I just came here from the Sun Worldwide Education Conference yesterday, actually, where we're working on this. And we're also working with Boston's Media Grid, who's actually working to computationally mash as many different software virtual environments as possible. So they're starting with Second Life, Croquet, Wonderland, and then World of Warcraft. And they're working on establishing the protocols so that all these things can come together. So they're a partner of ours. So basically you have all these different virtual worlds that are separate. There's teaching and learning going on in each of these virtual worlds. It isn't as easily tagged because, as you know, if you've been in Second Life, it doesn't integrate text in the same way that the World Wide Web does. The 3D virtual worlds are three-dimensional, and so it's graphically based, whereas the web is text-based. So it's actually more of a challenge. We don't even have the language to get your arms around exactly how to, what it is you're actually calling these things. There's immersive types of languages that are developing. So we have this web-based repository. Let's say the red one is Second Life, where we're getting these things to talk to each other, and just a basic schematic, sort of a conceptual overview of what we're doing. So what we're doing is we have this Wonderland server that we have online now, and once it's configured correctly, we're going to be connecting it to the Media Grid's education grid, which has a couple hundred ports that they'll be logging into. The Merlot web-based teaching commons for Clive was launched last week. And we're hitching in the Salamander project, which you just saw that overview, into Clive, sort of as our first feeder community. And the Salamander project was just mentioned in the Horizon report, the New Media Consortium and EDUCAUSE ELI report in 2008. We're pretty happy about that. And I showed you the overview, so I don't need to go through this again. And I'm just about out of time. So we're interested basically in looking at the different ways that virtual worlds experientially, the learners can engage in a variety of different ways. These are the ones that have emerged so far in our project. So you can demonstrate, you can have immersive experiences, you can problem solve, and et cetera. So we're looking for people like you to help us get our arms around all this. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.